Welcome to the broadcast. I'm your host, Larry W. Robinson. My guest today is Eric Smith. He's the president of smartercashflow.com. And we have an exciting broadcast for you today. We're going to talk about 3 financial strategies to skyrocket your income today. But before we get into our conversation, Eric Smith, welcome to the broadcast, sir.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. I just love the power of social media. You just never know who you're going to connect with and what great resources they can bring to humanity and the worldwide community.
It's a beautiful thing.
Okay, we're live, and I actually have the broadcast playing in my ear. Is that you on your end?
What do you mean?
Oh no, never mind. That was me. I actually had the me playing back in my own ear. Again, welcome to the broadcast. So glad to have you with us. Do me a favor, tell the listening audience just a little bit about who you are, what you do, and how to get in touch with you.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity being on the show, Larry. Who I am is, I find myself as a very humble entrepreneur, humble beginnings. My entrepreneurialism started at the age of 13 with a simple lawn service. Working my way through high school, I found myself always, as I say, getting that hustle on and so forth. And in 1997, went into the financial services arena and helping folks in the mortgage industry and eliminating debt and so forth. And then in 2006, I flipped over into more financial planning. And more recent this year, I have gotten a hold of some strategies that I say take everything that I used to do. I categorize everything as good, better, best. Okay. And I thought I was providing people best service. Mm-hmm. And then I started working with mentors that were worth hundreds and thousands of times more than what I had ever worked with. And I started realizing that there was a lot better way of doing things. And so I eliminated all the financial licenses and titles and all of that type of thing, and simply teach people financial strategies of success, which we're going to get into today, what we call the triple play.
Okay, wonderful. And where's a website our listeners can go to find out more information about you and your business?
Absolutely. They can go to smartercashflow.com. And as a matter of fact, today they go there, they put their name and email and so forth, have some special gifts for your listening audience. There's some extra credit training that they're able to take advantage of that myself and my partner have put together, and definitely like to make sure they take advantage of that today.
All right, awesome. Well, we know, I came across a quote recently, and I just thought it was interesting, so I'm going to share it with you today. If 100 people were given $10,000 today, what result would we see 1 year from now? You ready for these statistics?
Bring it on.
All right. 80% would have nothing left. Can you imagine? 80% would have nothing left. 16% would have about $10,500. So they started off with $10,000, and they only increased it to $500 in 1 year. And then 4% would have between $20,000 and $1 million. So the question is, why? So in your opinion, if we gave 100 people $10,000 today, and only 4% of them will grow it to $20,000 or to $1 million, why is that, in your opinion?
Well, today what we find is a lack of understanding about capitalism. And when a person does not understand the rules of capitalism, they will be taken advantage of. They will lose some of that money to taxation, a lot of it. Mm-hmm. They will be caught up by the whole system that's designed to take your money. For example, if you look at every month of the year, there is something in the capitalistic society we live in that's designed to take your money. This month is back to school savings and kids are starting school. Next weekend is Labor Day. And then you get into Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, Easter, Mother's Day, St. Patrick's Day. So much is designed to just suck people's money right out of their pocket.
Wow. Wow. Well, today, hopefully, the strategies that we share today will help people get on the road to wealth, and they'll be a part of the 4% that made $20,000 to $1,000,000 in a year. Again,
Absolutely.
we're talking to Eric Smith. He's the president of Smarter Cash Flow, and you can go over there for some great resources to increase your cash flow. But first, we wanted to share with you today 3 financial strategies to skyrocket your income today. All right, let's start off with number 1, Mr. Smith.
Well, strategy number 1, first of all, we have to back up and set a framework for why these strategies are really important. Because
Okay.
everyone has to identify that if you live in the United States of America today, there's 2 objectives that everyone must accomplish. It doesn't matter if you're Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, Barack Obama, Eric Smith, Larry Robinson, it really doesn't matter. During our working years, we have a lifestyle that we've set out for ourselves. That lifestyle has a dollar figure associated that it takes to run it. The home you've chosen, the car you've chosen to drive, taking your kids on a few vacations. And so during your working years, if you don't have the money set aside, you've got to pay for that lifestyle through your labor. But at the same time, you must be setting aside enough money so that in the future, that lifestyle is paid for through your investments. And most people are not getting that second part done because there's 4 obstacles that's preventing people from getting to these 2 goals. And that's number 1, inflation.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, taxation. Most people in the United States lose up to 1/3 of their income to taxes. Now, the purpose of these strategies is not about tax evasion or anything like that, but any wealthy person in this country will tell you they do not overpay their taxes. So that's where we have to start, making sure we don't overpay. Because most people are overpaying their taxes, then we lose another 1/3 of our income to debt because we have to go borrow the money to make up the difference to achieve our lifestyle goals. And then number 4 is less than ideal cash flow decisions. Going back to what that stat you gave just a bit ago, most people in this country are investing, 95% of people are investing in one of the 4 quadrants of investments that is the least amount of return, and that's cash equivalent investments such as CDs, money market accounts, low-paying insurance annuities, and so forth, which I used to sell that stuff. And now I realize, no, there's a lot better way. So because people are putting their money in such low return areas, those financial institutions get to take that money and put it into higher rates of returns that other people are tapping into.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, back to that stat, that 4% are getting those great results. So the 3 strategies then that come into play to help people is we got to reduce your taxes. Reducing taxes means not that you're evading taxes, you're just taking advantage of the laws that Congress has passed so that you can keep more of your own money. There's 3 tiers of income. You have the W-2 wage earner, then you've got the 1099 business owner, and then you've got the investor, or the person that lets their money make their money. So, Larry, as we're talking to your audience and your fans and followers, if majority of the people in America are W-2 wage earners, they're paying the highest tax bracket in the United States, anywhere from 28 to 35% or more of their income, because labor is taxed the most. When you're a business owner and you have money coming through a business such as a 1099, then the net equivalent effect of how much you pay in taxes drops down to about 18 to 23%. When your money is making money through capital gains and so forth, then it's taxed at 10 to 15%. So the whole purpose of income shifting is to educate people on a process of shifting that income from always coming from their labor to eventually coming from their investments.
So why, I'm just curious, first of all, we're talking about 3 financial strategies to skyrocket your income today. And number 1, reduce your taxes. And of course, as he said, we're not talking about tax evasion, etc. But there are 3 tiers he talked about. The W-2, which is the wage earner, which of course is the highest, those that are taxed higher. And of course, the 1099, the business owner, and then their investor. So why aren't more people moving toward owning businesses and investing their money?
Well, again, it's because a lack of education about capitalism, and it's a lack of education about taxes. Unfortunately, when people go and have their taxes prepared, whether they do it themselves or they go to a CPA, most of these individuals are just simply historical recorders. They're just writing down information that you're bringing them based on what you've spent and so forth. They're not there to teach you strategy on your finances. We do not receive this education in high school. We don't receive it in college. And so unless a person sets out to go and learn this information themselves, they're going to be caught up in a system of capitalism, because capitalism is about leverage. And so leverage is what every corporation is doing when they hire employees. Leverage is what the whole financial capitalist system is designed to do, because when a person looks at their pay, Larry, I think about this sometimes. When a person gets their paycheck, I always tell people, look how many people got a piece of your paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
The federal government got a piece, the city government, the state government, the utility company, the movie theaters, the restaurants, your friends, family. Everybody gets to get a little piece of leverage off of your time, energy, and effort, but then I always flip that and say your income. How many people contributed to your income? And it's usually one, and that's yourself.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's an eye-opening analogy. Talking today with Eric Smith. He is the president of SmarterCashFlow.com. Visit his website today for more information related to this topic. We're talking about 3 financial strategies to skyrocket your income today. And of course, number 1 is to reduce taxes. Hey, let me ask you a question. I was watching Oprah's Next Chapter this past weekend, and of course, the legendary Tina Turner was on there, and it just kind of reminded me about today's conversation. She said that she worked, in terms of performing and stuff, and I want to say about 4 years ago she retired, but she said she did not want to retire until she knew that the lifestyle that she was accustomed to would be completely paid for the rest of her life.
Exactly.
I was like, wow. So, and then she said a statement that just, I sent it out on Twitter and everywhere else, and it resonated with a lot of people. But she says, I want for nothing. She said she's been through the stage where, the material things, the things, had her attention, and, she said, I got enough shoes, I got enough jewelry, she says that actually I'm giving I'm downsizing, I'm giving a lot of that stuff away. She says, I'm at a place now that I'm content, I want for nothing. How can we get to a place where we can actually say, I want for nothing, but yet we have accumulated enough wealth that we can finance the lifestyle that we're accustomed to and get to the place where we say, I want nothing, I desire for nothing?
Well, it goes back to number 1. I mean, I appreciate that quote and that statement, but it goes back to being able to wait.
Mm-hmm. We are delayed gratification.
Yes, we're in such an instant gratification society. And again, understanding the rules of capitalism, they will offer you 10% off on today's purchases if you apply for this credit card. Right. Well, you apply for the credit card, you buy $100 worth of clothes, but you're going to wind up paying $300-400 for those same clothes. You didn't know you went to the mall to buy 4 times the amount. So if you can wait till you have the cash, then go buy it. But eliminating debt. If you can get rid of your debt, reduce your taxes, increase more cash flow. The problem is that people want it, but they don't have the cash flow, so they don't even really see eventually being able to get what they're wanting. But you don't have to go get the new iPhone when it comes out. My wife still has a 3, and it works just fine, you
Right.
know. But we don't have to have the latest at that moment. Sacrifice a little bit now so that you can have a lot more later. But we need to be thinking about, especially in our community, generational wealth transfer. I mean, it's easy to talk about and look at all these other communities, historical wealthy family names, but not too many are associated in our community because we're only thinking about the now.
That's good. All right, talking with Mr. Eric Smith. He is the president of SmarterCashFlow.com. Today we're talking about 3 financial strategies to skyrocket your income today. And of course, that number 1 is to reduce taxes. And just to repeat, there are 3 tiers in that category. Number 1, the W-2 wage earner. At number 2, the 1099, the business owner, and then the investor. All right, Mr. Smith, let's move on to number 2.
Number 2 is important because that 1099 business owner, it is a key element to set up and have a home-based business. You hear gurus will tell you you need to be involved in some sort of home-based business. Well, they're right. And here's the reason. If we're going to reduce taxes, how do we get that 18 to 23% net effective tax rate? Well, when you have a home-based business of some sort, you get to then now turn ordinary expenses that you're going to spend the money on anyway, your cell phone, your mortgage, rent, car payment, mileage that you're driving, putting on your car, you're going to spend that money anyway. And one of the biggest things I always like to encourage people to think about is when you have a home-based business, you get to put your children on payroll. And when you really get to wrap your mind around putting your children on payroll, ages 6 to 18, there's a lot of money folks are just throwing away that the IRS will allow you to write off instead of creating an expense. So with the home-based business, you now get to take and spend money on your business first, then pay taxes on what's left over. Now, the biggest question is people are saying, whoa, 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 why would the IRS do that? Well, the IRS is smart. They understand capitalism. They want more business owners in the United States because it creates more jobs and it creates more tax revenue in the long run for them. So they will give you the incentive. So I'm going to tell your listening audience, if you have 1, 2, 3, 4 kids, the IRS will allow you to hire your children and pay them up to the standard single-person exemption of $6,100 per child as an employee of your home business. That could represent a $6,000 to $24,000 write-off on money that you already are spending on your kids for their band equipment, the football uniforms, everything that they need to be doing. You could be writing that off. But if you don't have a home business, you're losing money.
So in your opinion, what are, let's just say, 3 good, we're not endorsing any particular business, but just some suggestions of a home-based business that are simple home-based businesses that people can open and operate today?
You know, you probably have friends and family that are hitting you up to join their network marketing business. Join. Stop fighting. Listen to what that person is trying to tell you, because even if the business does not make money, the deductions that you're going to be able to tap into will save you minimum $5,000, $10,000 this next tax year. Well, that's anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000 in actual cash that you don't have to spend to the IRS. So join that business, even if it's just to get that person off of your back. Join, because you're actually being given a favor. So network marketing. I mean, there's a variety of those, but you can start any kind of a lawn service. Help your teenage kid get started with something like that.
So let's say this. So when we say a home-based business, because a lot of people get that confused. When you say home-based business, they think you're meaning something that you do inside your house, but that's not always necessarily the case. Sometimes you could have personal services, etc., that you do outside the home, but the company, corporation, address, etc., is at your house.
You can have a window cleaning business.
Right. That's true.
So do something at home, because the difference in the ideology versus the employee says, I go to work, Uncle Sam, you get to take your taxes first, then I get to spend what's left over. When you're that business owner, you get to say, I go to work, I spend on my business, and then I pay taxes on what's left over.
That's good. All right. Talking today with Mr. Eric Smith. He's the president of SmarterCashFlow.com. Today we're talking about 3 financial strategies to skyrocket your income. Of course, at number 1, we talked about reduce taxes. At number 2, set up a home-based business. Now, I'm excited about number 3, my friend.
Number 3, that is cash flow success, and that is learning how to invest properly. Earlier I mentioned how that there's 4 quadrants of investments, and most people invest in the wrong quadrant. The first quadrant is what we have is called cash equivalent, and that's where you have your CDs, savings accounts, money market accounts, and so forth. And generally these yield very low rates of return. But then you have bonds, and you've got a variety of bonds, municipal bonds, federal bonds, mortgage bonds, corporate bonds. And this is where companies and the federal government is simply borrowing your money to expand and do different things, and those have pretty guaranteed reliable rates of return. And then you've got stocks, where you can participate in the stock market. And then the 4th tier, or the 4th quadrant, is assets. Most millionaires are created in quadrant 4. Assets are when you build a business, you buy a McDonald's franchise or build a Subway franchise, or you are like the founder of BET, and you build up an empire, and then you can sell those types of things, and then you cash out. That's your exit strategy. Most millionaires are created within that quadrant, and then many are created in quadrants 2 and 3. But very few are created in quadrant 1. Unfortunately, 95% of the population, Larry, invest in quadrant 1. So then they put their money into the banks, put their money into insurance companies, and then these institutions take your money, lend it to people in quadrants 2, 3, and 4 who are building empires, and makes them millions, and you're sitting back here just getting pennies on the dollar and wondering why you're not getting ahead, because it's a lack of investment knowledge. So what we teach people in our community is how to use professional money managers and where to go and get higher rates of return. I mean, if your car was to break down, you wouldn't get out there and try to fix it yourself. Most likely you take it to a mechanic, especially if you drive a new car. If your plumbing messes up, you're going to call an expert in that area. But in poor and middle class, they all want to try to manage their own money, and that's not what wealthy people do. They pay professional money managers.
So let me say this. I was, as we were preparing for this interview, and of course, once again, we're talking to Mr. Eric Smith. He's the president of SmarterCashFlow.com, talking about 3 financial strategies to skyrocket your income today. At number 1, reduce your taxes. At number 2, set up a home-based business. And at number 3, learn successful investment strategies, I should say. All right, so I was talking to, over the weekend, as I was preparing for today's interview, I was talking to some members of the faith-based community. I'll just say it that way. And you know, I was telling them that on Monday, you know, I was going to have this conversation, and so they were like, "Oh, okay. Well, you know, if you just pay your tithes and offering, and just give your tithes and offering, God's just going to supernaturally bless you." And so I was like, that might be true. So what advice, because you know that's basically what you hear, especially in the faith-based community, people that go to church a lot. You know, you hear basically, pay your tithes and offering, and God is just going to supernaturally bless you. So what advice do you have for someone that has, you know, I did several broadcasts in the past talking about, and you can go back and look for them, I tithe, but I'm still broke. So what advice do you have for someone that's been tithing, they've been giving their tithes and offering, they've been baking cakes and pies for churches and washing cars to raise money for the churches, but at the end of the day, they are broke? What advice do you have for them?
Well, the advice I have, first of all, I'm just going to shoot straight from the heart. I don't want to offend anybody, but
Okay.
stop mixing business and the Bible is what I want to tell people, first of all. But understand the scriptures. And if you're going to really apply your faith and so forth on the scriptures, remember what the scriptures say: give unto Caesar what Caesar is due. And understand capitalism. Understand that the country you live in, there are rules and laws that you can participate in to lower your taxes, to increase your monthly cash flow, which then can increase the amount that you want to give back to your church if that's your desire. There's nothing wrong with giving. We should support, a ministry that's going to help people understand the truth about the Bible and so forth. But
you know what? Now you said something, and it kind of sparked something. You said don't mix business and the Bible. But if truth be told, the Bible talks more about money than almost any other subject. And then it talks about, unjust scales and things of that nature. So actually, the Bible does have a lot to say about money as well as business.
No, I totally agree with that. What I meant by that statement, as far as not mixing the two, is that sometimes people think that I just gave, since what you just said, I give and I give and I give, and God's supposed to take care of me. Well, God still says a person needs to go out and work. They need to go out and provide for their family. They're just not going to be this angel singing, all of a sudden you got this blessing in your life. You still need to work within society and understand the game of capitalism, especially in the country that you live in right here, because you still got to reduce your taxes. Everyone has to pay taxes, but most people are overpaying their taxes. And a lot of faith-based individuals have such a attachment to making sure that they pay their taxes. The IRS says, if you read their website, that over 80% of the American population is overpaying. And the reason we know that is because people are getting tax refunds. That's where your wealth is leaving.
If you're getting a tax refund, it ain't really a blessing. It's just money that you could have had during the year.
It's your money that they're giving back to you without interest.
Right.
So
They took the interest and invested the interest, and they borrowed your money for an entire year.
And so when you talk about faith-based individuals and the Bible and recouping interest and so forth, get your interest now. Don't wait for somebody to pay you your money. You could be investing that money all year long and creating a fortune for yourself.
So when we sing songs like I'm getting a right now blessing and all that, we really could get a right now blessing if we learn how to fill out our tax forms correctly.
The W-4 form is the single form that's creating financial devastation in most poor and middle class families.
Wow.
Because that form is incorrectly filled out.
All right. Good stuff. Been talking today with Mr. Eric Smith. He is the president of SmarterCashFlow.com. We talked about 3 financial strategies to skyrocket your income today. And if you just simply go to your HR department and refill out that W-2 form, you really could get a right now blessing starting this month. All right. So number 1, reduce your taxes. Number 2, set up a home-based business. I love the fact that you said don't fight people that come to you with these different network marketing opportunities. Now, the only thing I say about that is get one that you're passionate about. There's so many.
Absolutely.
One that aligns with your values and your beliefs, etc., and then get started with that. And then, of course, learn proper investment strategies, successful investment strategies. All right. Mr. Eric Smith, this was a pleasure. Thank you so very much for accepting my invitation to join me on the broadcast today.
Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate being on.
No problem. Do me a favor. Tell the listening audience one more time a little bit about who you are, what you do, and how they can connect with you today.
Well, I'll tell you, what I do basically is I have a passion for helping people achieve their personal financial goals. And so we simply teach people these strategies, most simple financial strategies. We don't want to overcomplicate anything, but we simply teach people how to reduce their taxes, increase their cash flow, eliminate their debt, and invest wisely. And if your goals are to enjoy a lifestyle and have freedom, I mean, I was thinking last night about Martin Luther King. Free at last, free at last. My
Right.
goodness. Most people are not financially liberated. It is time to become financially liberated and say, I'm free at last. You can
Right.
connect with me further at smartercashflow.com, and look forward to reaching back out to you from there.
All right. Real quickly, one final piece of advice that you can give to our people tuning into this conversation today to get on to the road of wealth.
One final piece of advice is remember, it's your money. You go to work every single day, every single week, spend 40 hours plus. Who's in control of it? Ask yourself that. Someone is going to be made a millionaire off of your efforts. The question
Wow.
is it going to be Uncle Sam, the financial institutions, or is it going to be you and your family?
Wow, that's good. We'll end it right there. This has been 3 financial strategies to skyrocket your income today. My guest today, Mr. Eric Smith. Make sure you visit his website, smartercashflow.com. And thank you so very much for tuning in to the conversation. Bless you.
Thank you.